Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Unger, and I'm a professor of social work at Dalhousie University in Canada. I'm also the author of Change Your World, The Science of Resilience and the True Path to Success. It's an absolute pleasure to be in partnership with Clear to host this 14-day challenge to help you boost your resilience and come back stronger. Each day of the challenge, we're going to be looking at different ways that people build resilience in a crisis, as well as talking to many different guests who are going to talk about their experiences too of building and maintaining their resilience. Today is day one of the challenge, and it's about reflecting on your network of friends and families and others who are important to you. What we're going to be looking at is all the different resources that you have to help you build and sustain your resilience. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Silja Latvin, who is the CEO of Psych Apps, and Dr. Philip Jeffries. He's a psychologist and research fellow at the Resilience Research Center. Phil, Silja, nice to have you joining us in this kind of conversation.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Silja, could I start with you and just ask, during this particularly stressful period, what are the most important supports in your life right now?
I would have to say there were two. And the first one I was a little bit worried about because my partner and I are kind of like locked in our small apartment, and he has turned out to be one of the biggest supporters. He's pushing me to live healthier. He's there for when my mood goes down. And we really managed to have a way of communicating about little things that get big when you're really kind of locked together. And I would say the second part is my team and being able to reach out to them, get a hold of them digitally, talk to them, be it on a phone call, a video phone call, or just a chat, has proven to be very powerful.
And Phil, what about you?
Well, I would have to say my partner as well is a great kind of source of inspiration for me and a great source of support. I'm a big kind of gamer, so I have like a gaming community that I can kind of fall back on, and I'll turn to these other guys, whoever's online, we can pick up a game, we can play, and, not everyone's going to be there, but we're there for each other kind of at different times. So there's always kind of people there to sort of spread out the relief.
What's interesting is you both have found people or other broader social networks to support you and, if you will, keep your spirits up during this period. But there's also often barriers. Are there resources that you're struggling to connect with, especially as this gets more and more difficult to sustain yourselves? Are there people that you're not, or institutions or services that you're having trouble connecting to? Maybe I'll go back to you, Silja.
Yeah, so I actually had a bit of an urgent situation where I needed to speak to a chiropractor or an osteopath. I was waking up with terrible back pain, and I called half of London. I'm based in London, and they're all closed. Nobody's seeing anyone, and I was getting quite desperate. And I think after calling about 50 people, I found someone who's still doing house visits. And I've also been able to find a lot of back pain exercises online, digitally, like courses on YouTube that are verified, and that really helped me kind of like manage the pain over the last few weeks. But not being able to have my normal resources going to my GP or to my chiropractor was a bit shocking at first, I have to say.
We're all having to adapt to this new reality of how we get help. Absolutely. For Phil, you notice any changes?
Oh yeah, I mean, many changes. For me, kind of a big source of support is running. Like, I am a big runner. I need to be kind of outdoors, and I run for fairly long periods of time. I'm more of an endurance runner. I can't sprint to save my life. In Ireland, where I am at the moment, you can only go 2 kilometers in distance. Then for somebody who likes going for long runs, it's a little problematic. It's a little tricky. People sharing their ideas as well about doing clock or compass things where you run out and then run back and then run in a different direction and run back. Some really kind of creative ideas to still access some of those things.
What I hear you both saying is you're having to adapt to this very difficult time. When I think about resilience, I often use the example of Cinderella. What always has impressed me actually about the story is that there is a fairy godmother in the story. And that, really what resilience is often as much about getting the right resources around us, which is sort of what you're both telling us, and which hopefully in this 14-day challenge is something that we'll be looking at more and more in detail. I'm curious, Phil, who's your fairy godmother or fairy godfather at the moment?
Well, I've had a few people kind of fulfill that role of a fairy godmother or father. They were kind of older people who'd been through like a variety of different jobs, and they almost became like guidance counselor figures. They became almost like career coaches, that they could share all the different kind of jobs and experiences they'd had. It was great to sort of to almost live vicariously through them, to hear their experiences, to get their kind of counsel. And I had a few people like that as I was just kind of starting out.
As I think most of us did. That's a great example. Silja, your fairy godmother, fairy godfather?
So that's a beautiful question. You know how they say it takes a village to raise a child? I would say it takes a city to build a startup. And I would say my fairy godmother are definitely my advisors and my investors, because they are not just investing time and guidance and their know-how, they're actually putting their money where their mouth is. Kind of like you could say that the blue dress that Cinderella gets for going to the ball is the investment that I get to be able to develop mental health applications. So if that's not a fairy godmother, I don't know what is.
And of course, during a situation like this, which is really the focus of this 14-day challenge, is that we need these people more than ever. Silja, Phil, huge thanks for getting us started. I'm looking forward to listening to you and being back and forth with both of you, as well as all the guests that we're going to be bringing into this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and come back stronger. Bye.
Bye.
So really, just to summarize, what's obvious is we all have our unique networks of resources that we need during a difficult time like this. Things that support us and keep us going, as well as our everyday practices. These are all the things that we're going to be focusing on during this 14-day challenge. There's an exercise as well that you can do that we've given you some instructions for on the website that you can access from this particular program. What's clear is that we're living in very challenging times at the moment, and it's no longer really possible for us to really do things as we used to do. We're going to have to be flexible to discover new resources to live through this and hopefully at the end come back much stronger. Take care.